Browns kept it tight at first, but eventually it all fell apart as it usually does this year. We've got that and more on this episode of the Brownie Points podcast. I'm your host, Noam, and I'm here with my co-host,
Levi.
We got a great episode for you today. We're going to talk a brief recap of the game. Then, we're going to get into Shadeur Sanders and our grade of his performance. And then we're going to have our Brownie Points segment where we award Brownie Points to the standout players on offense and on defense. And then, of course, as always, we're going to round it up with our preview segment, Browns versus the Titans. That should be a really interesting game. The Browns have a bit of a habit of beating up on bad teams, but we will get into the details on that as well as our exact score predictions, which are, of course, gospel. It's exactly what's going to happen. All right, so that game was...
I was like, 4 points off?
Yeah, I was going to say...
I think I said 30-10, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we predict... Yeah, you said about 30-10. I think I said 27-10, so we were pretty much spot on.
Oh, you were better than mine then.
But I remember...
But we're pretty close, yeah.
I remember after that first quarter, I very foolishly said to myself, I was like, wow, this game's actually closer than I thought it was going to be. I was like, maybe we'll be wrong. Well, that would be nice. And then it kind of just went from there. And, of course, a lot of that was the special teams, which was an absolute disaster. And you have to wonder why the special team coach is still a member of this front office. I don't really know. I guess as the Browns, as an organization, they probably want to avoid the general dysfunction of firing a coach midseason. But, I mean, it has been just something impressive to be this bad. You almost got to wonder, like, they might want to check his FanDuel history, It makes you really wonder.
Yeah.
I'm not being actually hurling those accusations. I'm just saying it's been that bad that it's almost like it's intentional. Everything that could go wrong for special teams has been going wrong. Defensively, allowing big returns, muffing punts, just making really poor, odd decisions with the ball, like when he had the ball, caught it, and then went out of bounds with it, which is the absolute boneheaded decision. And again, the game started off fairly close, but the defense can only hold on for so long, especially when special teams puts the Niners offense in such opportune positions. And the Niners are a well-coached team. They're going to take advantage at some point, and that's basically what happened. They stretched that lead further and further and further, and until it wasn't really very much of a game at all. What was your thoughts on that game overall, as well as Shadeur's performance and his role in that game?
Yeah, so first of all, looking at the game, the offense, I think, was actually relatively well managed by Reese. I think he did a very good job managing the game. Like, I think sometimes coaches are better when they have a quarterback they don't believe in as much than when they do, because it forces them to really dig into their bag and control the game. And one thing I'll say about with Dylan,
let the star go out there and let him do his thing. They can't do that.
I think they overbelieved in Dylan. I don't hate Dylan or anything. Obviously, I'm probably one of his bigger defenders out there in Cleveland.
Yes, we both are, honestly.
But just because most people act like he was like the worst thing in existence.
Yeah.
But the point is, I think they overbelieved in him. They kept acting like he was like a Brady type or something. And like they kept running like, oh, we're just going to pass the ball a ton. And we're just going to like do all this stuff. And we're just going to like, you know what I mean? Like, and we'll do these super efficient short passes. It was kind of crazy. But regardless, and look, there's a big difference too, because the offensive line was not holding up. And now it is the last couple games, which is super interesting. But look, the blocking was really good. However, at the same time, you got to give Reese credit because he stayed patient, and I think he stayed patient with the run game later in the game. In the game,
yeah, which I really appreciated.
They were starting to pull away, but it was not far enough where you had to give up on the run game. And considering where we are, I think it makes sense to keep the run game going.
Yeah,
and he did for as long as he could, which I think is really good. Because that's a big part of play calling. It is patience.
Yeah, they didn't retreat into, we have to pass 50 times in a game.
And then things get worse too quickly. Yeah,
and then it's just even worse. Yeah.
Until he had to, he didn't. So I want to give him a lot of credit on that. And I think he is much better than Stefanski at knowing when to pick his deep shots. So there's a difference of the art between play calling and play designing. Right? Putting it together is one thing. Knowing when to call what is a whole other thing. Yeah. And I think he is better at understanding now's the time to buy my deep shot opportunity. And look, that's played out. And then that's done well.
And again, that's also, there's nothing wrong with
and that deep shot, that shot to Fannin, was really, they've been running it, and then they pull back, look for the shot. Yeah. Fannon's open, he hits him. And on that note, and we'll just, we'll get into that with Shadeur's grading in terms of that play. So that was actually pretty solid. Defense is dominant. I mean, it's kind of almost boring to talk about them at this point. They're much better than last year, like much better. The interior, the defensive line has helped a lot. Carson Schwarzinger has helped a lot.
That whole defensive line has been unreal this season.
I think Campbell's helped a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I think he just fits Schwartz a lot. Like, you don't do anything clever.
He's been a better
and he's
fit.
And he's really athletic. So, like, I think he's actually fit very well. Where Schwartz would have, but also, he would have off games. What's his name? Newsome. Newsome would have off games. And Campbell doesn't seem to really have that. Like, as long as you're keeping it simple, like, he's good. So that's very effective. And this defense is super, super dominant to the point where, like, they pretty much never fall apart. They're pretty much almost never, like, even when they're constantly being put under pressure.
Yeah, and even the games where they've had given up big score lines, a lot of times they didn't even really give them up.
That's what I mean. Like,
special teams putting them in horrible positions, picks putting them in really bad positions, just things that aren't really their fault, which is why they were still ranked the number 2 defense coming in, despite having a terrible record and having games where they're giving up a decent amount of points a lot. It's because they don't really actually give up that many yards. They just are constantly having to defend a 30-yard space instead of having, the other team have to go 80 yards to score on them like you usually do.
And then, of course, we get to special teams, right? So you got Malachi Corley making that absolutely abominable. And that was the worst special teams play to me, right? Yeah. Because players make mistakes. But your guy standing on the sideline on a kickoff and reaching out to catch a ball like he's trying to show off his tape that he can make a sideline toe drag.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking.
It's a kickoff. It goes out of bounds. You're at the 40. What are you doing? This is like really basic stuff. And it's not like he wasn't paying attention. He was like the one.
But it's a guy who doesn't know what he's doing in the
right.
In
the
return
like
game.
A yard,
he's thinking like a receiver. The ball comes in, he grabs it and drags his toes. Great job.
Like, what do you do? Yeah, and if he had caught it where it was about a yard from going out of bounds, and it's like, you really shouldn't. But I understand where, like, you weren't thinking that way. Yeah. You're leaning over. That's so bad. So that was atrocious, and it specifically reflects poorly on coaching. Yeah. Because it's a mindset thing, right?
Yeah.
And then you have all the muff punts and all that. And at a certain point, that's bad. And it also reflects poorly on Kevin, because a lot of people in management struggle with this in general in life, where there's a balance between having chaos and being this nasty guy that nobody likes, and accountability. Mm-hmm. And he's leaned too far, him and I think Andrew Berry both, which is why you don't see Berry make moves on time, and when you don't see him have the urgency. This is the NFL. It's not the world of you have to be pretty good. It's the world of big moves. It takes big moves to get there. It took the Rams trading for Stafford, and it took the Lions having the guts to know to pull the trigger and to rebuild their team.
Yeah.
Right?
An odd move that worked out for both, really.
Whereas the Cowboys never traded Romo.
Yeah.
When honestly, they probably should have over his last couple of years. Rodgers, they still got value for him, but they probably should have traded him a year or two earlier. They would have gotten a lot more for Rodgers, the backers, if they had the guts to pull the trigger earlier. Mm-hmm. Right towards the back end, you had your guy, move on. Point being, it makes a big deal to have the guts to make that one big move. And it can be tough, but the key to being a GM, making millions of dollars, piloting one of the 32 teams in the entire world, right? But at least in America, right? Like, realistically.
Yeah.
Is you gotta know, you gotta have, you gotta have the stones to make the right move and to know when. That's why you're paid the big bucks. When you get that much time, you have to know when to do that, and that is a part of your job. Mm-hmm. Because if you're gonna be Mr. Steady Eddie, you better nail those drafts in and out. And he hasn't. And by the way, Jason Light of the Tampa Bay, I'm gonna mention, it's a perfect example of a great version of the Steady Eddie, and he still makes mistakes that keep his team because he's too Steady Eddie. He re-signed Chris Godwin, a guy who's barely on the field, $20-something million. Probably shouldn't have done that. And then he got his replacement in the draft in Ibuka, and now he's just wasting money on a position he didn't need to. Mm-hmm. He refused to give up on guys, keeps coach running, probably shouldn't. All that. He keeps guys doing, but he's a very good drafter. So even when you're good, and you can get good teams, but to take that next step, you have to have the guts to make that move. Mm-hmm. Look, the point being, Berry's not that guy. Stefanski's not that guy. And they tend to lean too much into the stability idea and not enough into, okay, but this is a Premier League. This is the top tier. I have to make this play. And so when you allow a guy like that, you're too focused on where you have a plan and we do everything on our timeline. Mm-hmm. And you let a guy do what he's doing to your special teams week after week after week after week this poorly. It is about the message you send. The message we send is there's no accountability.
Yeah.
You want to keep your job for next year? Fire him. Because it's not even about this year anymore. It's about the fact that you say, hey, look, if you're going to have that many bad performances, we're not going to let that slide. And if you let that slide, like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's on Stefanski. And I blame Berry a little bit only because I think together it's their overall culture of the building.
Yeah.
But this is the NFL. Again, you're not the small Big Ten team, that MAC team, that like, hey, you make a bowl game, good for you. That's not what this is.
Yeah.
This is the NFL. I need to see that move. Yeah. I need to see you. He doesn't draft good enough to not be making those moves.
You want to see him fired, basically.
Yeah, it's time to move on because he's never going to get you there.
Yeah.
And none of them will. If you're not going to fire a guy after this much, the special teams, this much poor play, poor decisions, all that, then all the questions you've had about Stefanski and the way he manages a team as a head coach, which we've talked about for a while, like, does he manage people well and that kind of thing? It's all vindicated by the way he's treated special teams this year.
Yeah.
So I know it wasn't really the topic, but the topic to me is just starting to yell that like he's not going to keep his job.
Yeah, Barry. Oh, sorry, the special teams guy. Probably not Barry either, but
no, I don't think Stefanski either. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because I think you almost tend to I think leadership. You think ownership is not looking at this, and saying like, "Wow, look at that. What's going on?"
Like special teams is a way of being, as a habit of. It's almost like a fumble, almost where you're like. Sometimes you have a Jerry Jeudy fumble where it's like, okay, that's kind of your fault, but a lot of fumbles are kind of chance, and.
Were you getting a lot of them?
With special teams, like a muff punt, okay, drops happen. But, man, drop punts and poor decision-making and giving up multiple coverage and giving up huge returns in multiple weeks, multiple teams, in the same game even as well. What do you need to see? Yeah, this is not enough. But regardless, the performance overall from the defense was great. The performance overall from the offense was oddly okay. But the special teams really did a phenomenal job of not even giving the offense the opportunity. They basically just, every time there were multiple times that the Browns were supposed to get the ball, and instead the Niners had the ball because of their screw-ups on offense. On special teams. And they put the offense in a position where, actually, or I should say, they didn't even allow them to be in a position to do much of anything at all. And it's not like the offense was spectacular, but the offense was okay. I mean, Quidjon had 90 yards. They were moving a little bit. Shadeur wasn't spectacular, but he wasn't too bad. It was relatively functional. Let's get into Shadeur, but they barely had an opportunity. Yeah, and let's get into it because for Shadeur Sanders and his performance, we both were in agreement. We both gave him a C-. But, man, you'd hope to see a closer game when he has a performance like that. Not like it was some incredible, outrageously amazing performance, but it was decent. And more importantly, we saw improvement. And that was the biggest thing that we were talking about last week, was that not just that he has to be amazing next week, because he doesn't have to be amazing. He's a rookie, and he's going to be making his second start. He does have to show improvement. He does have to show that he can continue to manage the pocket against a better defensive team. He has to show that he can continue to maintain his composure, that he can continue to stand and deliver throws even when he's about to get rocked. And I thought he did that again in this game. Overall, we were very concerned about his pocket management. We thought his pocket management was going to completely collapse in this game. We thought that the Niners were going to adjust, and we thought the Niners were going to bring a lot of blitzes, or at least a lot of fake blitzes, something, right? But put a lot of guys in the box, bring a lot of heat, bring a lot of pressure, and they didn't really do that. They really gave Shadeur a little bit more time than I was expecting, but even noting that being said, Shadeur still did a better job than I was expecting managing the pocket, especially that throw to Harold Fannin, where he did a really nice job stepping up into the pocket instead of running back, and that actually gave him enough time to make the throw. Yes, it wasn't some outrageous throw. Harold Fannin was open. Yes, fine. But the old Shadeur would have just ran out the back, and he wouldn't have even had the opportunity to make that throw. And seeing him step up in the pocket a little bit and give himself that time and manage it and then make the throw to Harold Fannin, who then makes a really nice physical play to get those extra yards and the touchdown. That's the kind of things that I felt like, okay, that's what we need to see from Shadeur. I need to see that can maintain. We need to be able to see that improvement. What was your overall impressions from this game?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's pretty similar. I think with Shadeur, like, ultimately, they are not going to test him unless they have to, which makes a lot of sense. Your job is to win games, and that's the best way to win games. But I don't think we're going to get a real honest feel on Shadeur until we see a game where he is tested. Like a game
where team brings the heat.
Where team brings the heat, they're getting in, either they're bringing blitzes or they're getting in there. Mm-hmm. Where you see the defense maybe give up a few points earlier in the game, nothing crazy, but enough that you really feel like you have to move the ball. And they're throwing some different looks in there. They're getting some pressure. Run games maybe not really moving so much. And I want to see those kind of games because that's where you learn if you have a franchise quarterback or not.
Yeah.
And so far that hasn't happened. I don't blame him for not doing something about that. He didn't look great late in the game, but he had some good plays and some plays he looked kind of bad.
The defense did that prevent defense, so you have a lot of those easy 5-yard throws, which he made. And
I know it was the end of the game, and you weren't going to win anyway, but I don't love that he just kind of went down on 4th down at the end of the game.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't love
just chuck it. Chuck it up there. Like, it needed to get sacked again. I was like, my guy, like, at a certain point, you got to know that the pressure's coming.
It was a little bit
of 4th down. One thing I want to see is just like it's 4th down.
Yeah, that was a little bit of
it looks like it's ending,
mentality.
If it's ending, throw it as hard as you can towards wherever and make that happen.
Yeah, I think he wants to. When I say hero mentality, I mean that he wanted to hold the ball and try and like make the throw, not just chuck it up into the middle.
Yeah, he did have one questionable ball. Luckily, the defender did not run through it, so it was okay. But for the most part, he didn't really throw any straight pickables, which is a huge improvement. That's probably the biggest improvement, right? Because he threw 2 pickables very clearly against Ravens. And against the Raiders, there was an argument for as many as 4. Right? You can argue about it and blah, blah, but when you look at the replay, there were a few that actually hit hands and were very close.
But he definitely had...
At least 2.
Yeah, exactly.
He threw 1, and he had at least 2 pickables, edging at least on 3. Try to be more modest.
Yeah, let's call it 2.5. A little unfair, but I would
call it 2.5. I would
agree with
I'd say there's 2 questionables, and there was 2 that were. So probably, let's say 2.5.
But he didn't have any this week.
But he didn't have any pickables this week, so that's a big improvement. Yeah, and I like that fan and throw. A little bit better pocket management. Again, I want to see his pocket management when he's tested a little more. Like, not it collapsed, but it was like 4 seconds in. I mean, like, where you're actually dealing with constant pressure. Like, what do you do? Do you go back or not? I thought that might happen this week. It didn't. So I'm kind of out where it's like, okay, but like, honestly, the offensive line's holding up much, much, much better than it had all year round. Like, even with the 4-man pass rush, they were breaking down pretty soon. And this game, there was a lot of pockets early on where it was, you could count to 4 without him moving.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge step up. So that changed a lot about the game.
Yeah, we'll see if that continues because they had a lot of injuries all of a sudden on the offensive line. I think Pochich had some time out. Jack Conklin went out with a concussion. He's probably going to be out next week as well. Yeah,
so that may change things. And look, like, we're not super confident going into the preview, but we'll see in this next week. But there'll be some weeks, I'm sure, where you'll get some pressure and we'll get a better gauge on what's going on.
Yeah.
I do want to see those kinds of plays because also when you get to see if your quarterback can make reads or not, like properly make reads, make an anticipatory throw or two, like actually step up, go through on a time-based, like not... Anybody can make a read if you give them enough time. It's not really making a read. Like, I need you to be able to go make reads in a timely fashion, get to where you need to be, and recognize that, okay, you know, there's an old saying, like, you ever heard, if he's even, he's leaving?
Yeah.
Right, and talking about the receiver in the corner and, like, based on how they look. That kind of thing. I want you to be able to look and recognize, okay, he's flat-footed. I'm going to be able to get this up. You know what I mean? That kind of, the corner's in the wrong spot. That's the coverage. You have to make some of those plays at least. And so that's something that I want to see as time goes on to feel confident in him.
That can develop. Yeah.
He's been a little better than I thought, but I also feel like the pressure hasn't come down the way I thought it would.
Yeah.
So
like our prediction was on his performance specifically was mostly based on the idea that the Niners were going to rush him. Yeah. They didn't rush him, so we'll see what happens next week.
I feel like we kind of got the opposite of Dylan, right? Like when Dylan was in there, I felt like you were asking for the world from him. And I was like, I don't think he's playing great, but I also don't feel like he's a guy who's going to bring you the world. And then Shadeur comes in, and the offensive line's playing great, and they're running the ball, and just need to make occasional plays. It's like, okay, well, now it doesn't feel like you're asking very much from him. So it's kind of like an interesting dichotomy. Now, one could argue that Shadeur perhaps is a better locker room presence.
Yeah.
Not that Dylan's bad, but maybe Shadeur inspires his players.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they're playing better. I mean, you know, a lot of guys seem to like him.
Yeah.
And that would be a totally fair, you know...
positive for him.
I'm sorry, I'm not doing well with this one. Compliment to him. But, and he would deserve that. You get props for that. If you're leading guys properly, you get props for that. Could be the defense is playing better because they like him, they think they have a chance with him. Whether it makes sense or not is not the point. If you give guys that belief and they play better, you deserve props for that.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
I think a certain amount will hold out, but for now, I think a certain amount you think that like maybe his leadership, his belief he instills in people is having them play better. So that counts.
Do you agree Do you agree that
super intrigued? I'm super interesting. Like it feels like a different team. Like I'm very. Every time I'm just sitting there like, huh. I wonder what'll happen next.
Yeah, I know.
So I feel like when I'm watching the Browns,
a lot of intrigue with this going forward. But I felt like we saw improvement from Shadeur. Do you agree that we saw improvement?
I agree we saw improvement. Yes, no pickles.
Yeah.
No pick 'em rolls.
And again, that pocket management against it's still a better Niners defense than the Raiders have, and better and either the same or slightly better pocket management. So I would consider that improvement. Let's move into our brownie points.
I didn't think he did good against really Raiders. I think when the more you broke down the tape, the more it looked bad in my opinion. I looked at more tape and I thought there was more plays that were worse than I thought they were.
Yeah, and his completion percentage was like I said, we said his completion percentage was like 55%. This week was 65%. So he
completion was better, and not as many
picks were down.
Not as many bad plays. Like there were some that was like, whoa. Last week in watching tape, I was like, oh, that was I actually saw some all 22. And I was like, oh, that was worse than I thought it was. That probably should have been picked. Like, there was like a random play where it got knocked aside, and then you look at the trajectory, and like there was a player that was gonna, that was ready. So it is what it is. But the point is, I definitely think it was an improvement, which is awesome, and he'll get another opportunity to improve, and that will be a segment we discuss soon.
Oh, hopefully, I'm assuming he's going to start next week. One presumes that they're going to continue this. I don't see any reason to go back to Dylan. I mean, God, when Dylan came in for one throw, he was getting booed. I was like, God, everybody relax. Shadeur got hurt.
I mean, that's one thing I always feel. I always feel bad for Dylan. Like, they're so mean to him. Like,
well, they were now. To be fair, I did feel like people were relatively nice to him at first, but once they turned on him. But regardless, we're gonna move into our Brownie Points segment. If you're a first-time listener, the Brownie Points segment is where we award brownie points to the standout players on offense and on defense. The more brownie points you get, the better we thought that you did. We usually give out 3, 2, and 1. This week is a bit of an exception for the Browns this year. There's been a lot of exceptions. And what I mean by that is not everyone's getting brownie points. We don't give out 3 to whoever was the best player on the field. That has to be a 3 brownie point level performance in order to give it out. So this week we didn't feel that there was a 3 brownie point level player in that game, although there were some really nice plays on the defensive line, and there were nice games from other people on the team, but 3 brownie points is like a truly exceptional game. And 2 brownie points, we gave it to Quinshon Judkins, about 90 yards about 90 yards in that game. He did a really nice job. He was good after the contact. He did well with what was given to him. The offensive line did a nice job blocking for him, but obviously he's Quinshon and was able to take advantage of that. And again, was still breaking tackles and pushing further than what he was given.
Yeah, I think it's very impressive when you can be productive when you are the engine of the offense, right? Like he is like King Henry level production on the offense. Not saying he's playing like King Henry, just to clarify. Yeah. But in the way that was like King Henry was the offense. Like with the Titans days, he is the offense. So like, you know what I mean? So it's like, look, like they were protecting him majorly and everybody knows it. Shadeur, I mean. So he's getting a lot of carries. They need a decent run game to make the offense flow. Yeah.
And I was shocked that he was able to have that game. We thought he was going to have like 50 yards or something because the Niners are going to load the box, stuff the run. Like that's what I would have done. Load the box, stuff the run.
You get pressure quicker that way too. Like if you don't get it. Like
exactly. It just seemed odd to me. But look, that's what they did. Regardless, Quinshon deserves his brownie points. He had a really nice game. And then
they only give it 8 points, so...
Yeah.
I mean, they may not have had the splash plays, but they didn't give up a lot of points, so... No. Maybe it wasn't a bad strategy.
No, that's true. I guess it kind of worked out for them in the end, either way. But at 1 brownie point, we were giving that one to Denzel Ward. The Niners' passing game wasn't really that productive. A lot of what they did was handed to them in some way by the special teams.
Or George Kittle.
But there weren't a lot of yards going around other than George Kittle. Yeah, exactly.
It's not the corner's responsibility.
Yeah, so. If you don't see a corner's... If you watch a football game in the NFL and you forget that a corner exists, there's a pretty good chance that they had a good game.
That's kind of what happened with Denzel. To offensive linemen in that way.
Yeah, because they're not throwing the ball his way for a reason. Denzel Ward, we thought, had a really nice game today. Again, nothing insane, but certainly worthy of a brownie point. I think Myles Garrett would be somebody that would be like an honorable mention. He had a sack, he was getting in there, but not something that we felt was quite brownie point worthy. But again, solid performance from the defensive line overall, honestly, as a unit. Mason Graham has continued to show improvement. We'll see what he does next year, but he's continuing to show improvement, and which is really nice. Even though I know we talk about this every week, but we would have rather maybe have had Ted McMillan just due to the needs of the offense. But that being said, if you don't take the position of need, that guy better be good, and he is turning out to be good. So that's something that will be also interesting to keep an eye on going forward. We're now going to move into our preview segment, Browns versus Titans. This is going to be a really interesting game because the Browns obviously are not a very good team, but they do have an outstanding defense. And when they have played bad teams, that defense is eating them alive, namely the Dolphins and the Raiders. The defense has been able to absolutely terrorize and dominate those teams, The offense has been able to do just enough, and they've been able to win those games. I know the Dolphins, they scored a lot of points, but a lot of those, the defense giving them those opportunities. But regardless, they've played really well against other teams that are at the same level. Like you'd think, okay, 2-win team plays a 2-win team, they're going to cancel each other out, it'll be a tight game. But no, because the Browns actually have an elite defense. And that elite defense seems to have been dominating their other team's poor offense and allowing our offense to do just enough. What's your expectations going into this game overall? Those are my feelings. But
for the first time, I feel confident in a Browns win, and not just that, I feel confident in a Browns beatdown. Like I think it's going to be a beatdown. Cam Ward is just not that good. Keep in mind there will probably be a 1-2-2, probably one really great play where he will smoke this defense because Cam Ward is an exceptional athlete with exceptional arm talent. And he occasionally has these just wow plays, which is why he was taken number 1 overall. He was always going to be a project. So we'll have to see how things go as he gets his time in the league and as time goes on and what does he do. He's going to be a project. What you're looking for is to see an improvement a la Josh Allen. It took him a few years to really be that guy. So you're really looking as like, okay, we see some flashes. That's wonderful, but not great. Okay, next year, let's get you a few weapons, like 1 or 2 decent weapons.
Yeah.
And let's see what you do. Do you take a step up and then maybe 3rd or 4th year you start to hope for, that number 1 pick type performance. But the point is right now he is where he is in his rookie year. And the way he is right now is typically you get 1 or 2 wow moments. And usually when he does his wow moment, you can be a great defense. It don't matter. Like he is running, he's fast, he's quick, and he's just launching it to wherever he wants, and it goes there. And he's just got phenomenal arm talent. So keep in mind, you'll probably get 1 or 2 of those. But for the most part, he's not that good. Mm-hmm. To put it in perspective, Browns quarterbacks for the year are 2,100 passing yards, 2,150, and he's a little over 2,300 passing yards. So very.
Yeah, we know how bad the Browns quarterbacking has been. Yeah,
not
pretty
a
much
similar
the same
performance to what the Browns' total QB passing yardage is for the year.
And their top receiver had what? Who was their top receiver?
Yards. Okonkwo?
I cannot remember.
Chigi Okonkwo, I think it is.
Okonkwo, yeah.
And I apologize to the gentleman because I'm probably saying his name quite a bit. Probably messed up somewhere in there.
Probably.
And that was not intentional.
I just let you do it. But yeah, what is he at? About 400 yards in the season.
Just a little over 400.
That's their top receiver.
It was 406.
Browns' top receiver is Harold Fannin.
It's a little over 500.
Yeah, a little over 500 yards. So offenses, statistics-wise, are fairly similar, but I think the defense is where you're really going to see that difference.
But the run game, Pollard's the lead rusher, a little over 500 yards, whereas Judkins is 750, which has been remarkable considering in some of those games you saw he had nowhere to go.
Some of those games he would get like 6 carries, it felt like.
You got to think a lot more, and like he's come back on, and so Judkins has looked, and he didn't start the year.
No, I know.
So, he's looked really strong.
I would expect, honestly, from him this week, I'm looking for him to have a 90-yard game. And
I wonder if he's going to get Offensive Rookie of the Year. McMillan has slowed down a little bit. Part of it's not his fault. It's really Bryce Young. It's just Bryce Young. But so he slowed down a little bit, and that might leave a room open if Judkins has a stretch down the end.
Yeah. If he's pulling off like 90, 100 yards every game for the rest of the year.
He said 750.
No, he'll finish with over 1,000 if he keeps this up.
He could hit over 1,000. And if he hits over 1,000 and Ted's slowed down to 13th now because, there's just some games are slower. Yeah. He ends up being somewhere more in the middle. Might be Judkins. Quarterbacks aren't putting up much. Jackson Dart got injured.
That would be...
Cam Ward's playing poorly.
I can't think of anything crazier than if the Browns win Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and Defensive Player of the Year and win 4 games.
Like 4 games, yeah. But think about it. Who else is Offensive Rookie of the Year at this point?
I know what you... I know when you said that, I was
rusher.
like, I don't know, but...
Ted McMillan's the only guy, but because Bryce
He's already leading the running backs, this is the point, right?
Yeah.
And he hasn't even been that good, so if he's able to get, he's been good, but he hasn't even gotten that many real opportunities because of how poorly the offense often is.
Yeah.
But if he continues to pull off, a string of 90, 100-yard games, get some more touchdowns...
If Dart had played more and Neighbors was healthy, I think it probably would have been Dart.
Yeah.
Which was my prediction. But at the end of the day, he's not healthy. Neighbors wasn't healthy. And then he got injured. And he's out. So that's over. And if you look at quarterbacks, Cam Ward's not doing it.
Yeah.
You don't have a rookie who's really making that splash at quarterback. So you're left with receivers and running backs. Receivers, Tet, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Ibuka's making some plays, but I don't think he's going for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And so at this point, you basically look at those two. I think Judkins is a strong consideration.
Yeah.
For Rookie of the Year. Different conversation, but I expect him to still have some success against his Titans team.
Yeah.
Titans, your big worry is Jeff Simmons.
Yes.
The defensive tackle. He is a monster.
Yeah,
and
he
will cause some problems.
Guy for a long time in the league.
We do have a good interior, so that's nice. It's better than having a good defensive end.
Yeah. That's always been the strength of this team, of this offensive line, has always been that interior, that center guard combos.
But while you may not see sacks, what is interesting if he's still constantly disruptive, because that's interior disruption.
Yeah.
So that could create a little bit of uncomfortable situation for Shadeur.
Yeah.
So if you see a few of those plays, might be interesting on a grading standpoint as to what happens in those plays, if that does happen. So that'll be something to keep in mind. But for the most part, the Titans just aren't a good team.
Yeah.
They're just not a good team. And so you'll probably get opportunities. You'll have the run game. I think you'll be in control. I think the defense is going to absolutely dominate. So hopefully special teams doesn't just gift them up something too much.
Yeah.
And in that case, I expect the Browns to win. I would put them probably, I'm actually going to say 28-7 Browns. Like, I think it's going to be a beatdown.
28-7. That is a very, I would say that's a
I think the defense is going to all but score a few times. Like, you know what I mean? Either score or all but score.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's part of the reason. And I think that run game is going to, I think it's going to wear on them. I think we're going to be the ones getting the time of possession.
Yeah.
And by the end of the game, I think the run game is just going to be gashing them.
Yeah.
And so I think, and then you get a few open coverage busts on play actions. And so I think over time, it'll just start to really stack up.
Yeah. I mean, I had a big prediction this week. I thought, I was like, man, I'm being a little bold here. Browns, I'm predicting the Browns are going to win this game 24-13. I do think that, like you're saying, I do think Cam Ward is going to have a play or two. I do think, unfortunately, the offense may gift them something here. Like, yes, the defense might be good, but if they throw a pick in the wrong spot and their offense goes 20 yards, they might end up with a field goal. The special teams does what they do again. They might end up getting some points just from that. So I'm giving them.
But do you think they're going to be pressured? Because it looks like this offense. Well, I understand what you're saying normally, but this offense seems to be built around the idea of we're not going to really ask them to do too much. We're going to pick our spots.
So yeah, but it can happen anyway.
It can, but the way he played this week makes me think that if he isn't tested, then it'll be okay.
Yeah.
And the Titans aren't really a team that's going to make you do much.
What I've seen from the Browns is it's difficult for me to put my finger on exactly what's going to happen because I'm not a prophet, but I feel that based off what I've seen from these Browns, they have a way of just handing things to teams, and whether it's the special teams or whether it's an interception or some other boneheaded weird decision like a penalty in all the wrong spots or something just odd, I think they're going to have one of those types of moves that's going to gift them some points, and then I think they're going to get some points genuinely on their own. And I think that's going to leave them at around 13 points. The Browns are going to have about 24. Again, that's my prediction. Let's get into some personal stuff here. How's your mother doing? No, I'm kidding. Personal stuff. Players, we like to do a little bit of over/under. I don't know. I enjoy this part of the episode. I think it's always interesting to discuss, and also see where we're right. Last week we were wrong about Judkins. We took the under on him.
We were right about Judy.
We were right about Judy. Definitely, we were right about Fannin. I said anyone over 45 yards or something, 40 yards or something. Nobody really went over that. So we were kind of definitely correct about the offense. When it comes to Judkins,
had a few tackles, depending if you're going combined and assists or just semi tackles.
Judkins in this game
5-5 in the assists and the regular ones.
Judkins in this game, 80 yards, over under.
I would take over.
Yes,
I don't think they're that good. The offensive line is blocking better, and I think he'll get a lot of carries.
Yeah, I think Quinton Judkins in this game has 88 yards and a touchdown. That's what I think he's going to have.
Yeah, I'm going 93-2.
I'm not even going to talk about Jerry Jeudy.
You got to go for the in between, right?
Yeah,
so I'm going 93-2.
Yeah,
do tutties.
I'm not even going to talk about Jerry Jeudy. We're not going to make any predictions on him. But Myles Garrett is on. Not just is he on Defensive Player of the Year watch. I mean, right now he's got that locked up. Right now, as long as he's
at 19, right?
He's at 19 sacks for the season. He got his one against the Niners, which was important just to kind of keep pace for that 25 sack mark. But he's not just on Defensive Player of the Year watch, but he is on pace right now. This isn't like, hey, if he has a really great couple games, I mean, he does need those great couple games, but he is on pace right now to break the all-time sacks in the season record, which is 22.5, which I believe two guys are tied for right now. Right now, he's got 19 sacks.
TJ, which is the annoying part.
Which is
TJ.
TJ Watt, I know. But
and
he needs
Warren Sapp.
Yeah. He needs 4 more sacks to break the all-time record. Yeah. Right now, he's on pace for, I think, 27 sacks or something like that. 25 or 26 sacks is what he's on pace for. So we'll see what happens with that. But, against the Niners, we're like, all right, he might get one, but this will probably be like an off game, so to speak.
Because we said they're going to game plan around.
Yeah, and he was still good. Like, he still got pressure. He still created some hurries. But
like we said, like, they're too well coached and they're too well managed from the quarterback position to give up a lot of sacks to Myles.
But the Titans
are
not that team. And it really, really makes you wonder. Myles Garrett's going to be very motivated because he knows that this is a game for him that he could potentially really rack up some numbers.
Yeah.
And this is a crazy thing to ask. Because really for a defensive player, a top-line defensive player, the over-under you should be asking is 1. You know what I mean? Is he going to get 1.5, something like that? That's what the over-under should be, if not even just half a sack, right? 0.5 over-under, half a sack. But for Myles Garrett in this game, man, it really makes me wonder. 1.5?
I'm over.
I'm going to say over. I think he's going to get 2 sacks.
I would not be surprised if he got 3, but I wouldn't bet on 3.
I wouldn't bet on 3, but I would bet on 2.
I would bet on 2 because Cam Ward loves to run around. He's not a
He's going to hold the ball a little bit more.
He's not a high-level processor. He's athletic, but he loves to run. And athleticism is not the problem for Myles. So
exactly. This really feels like the game. Myles Garrett, 2 sacks.
I see multiple, and not to peek too far ahead, but we're playing the Bears next week. And the Bears are well managed and everything, but he has moments. So there'll be some opportunities.
He likes to run around, which, again, is fine.
He'll have some opportunities.
But this might give you a little bit more opportunities.
This week, I wouldn't be shocked if you see 3. Because
there was a player, too, against the Niners.
I think he knows, too, that not every week is going to give you these kind of opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think you might see a little extra oomph because there will be a short week in there somewhere. Everybody knows it. But if you go out there and get 3 and you're at 22, you're going to hit it in the next couple of games.
Exactly.
So, I expect 2 out of him. I actually expect 2.
Yeah, which is really insane to say. But he's on an otherworldly tear because, again, even in that Niners game, it's not like he had an off game per se, really.
No,
he was still quite dominant.
They could just manage around it,
Yeah, exactly. They were double teaming him every single play. He was still getting a lot of pressure. There were a couple plays where he got there, actually. He did enough to get the sack, but they got rid of it before he was able to get there.
And that's what I mean. They're going to game plan for that.
Yeah, exactly.
And they played away from a good enough processor to get it out. You know what I mean? So,
exactly.
He's a manager, so, you're not going to get that same.
Yeah. But interesting, this week we both have big predictions. I think this is the first week of the season. I might be wrong, but I think this is the first week of the season that we are both predicting a win. Oh, no, the Jets. I think we both thought they were going to beat the Jets.
Yeah, then we lost.
Then we. I remember after that game, that's when I lost all hope after that game. I think after that game, I was like, man, this season is going to be rough. They can't even beat the Jets. But after that, for the most part, they've actually been doing well against bad teams.
Gauge the Verity, and if his over is 10 yards, maybe. No, because sometimes they'll offer a super low over on somebody like him, but he always seems to get 1 catch a game.
Yeah, Labrador.
Yeah, so that probably won't get the odds where it's worth it.
Yeah.
But potentially something.
Yeah. I'm not even talking about
as
the
usual,
over-unders.
It's really Fannin. It's really Fannin. Fannin's really the only one to really talk about. It's really just Fannin.
I'm not even really talking about this in necessarily betting terms. I just find the over-under in general an interesting discussion point. Do you think, just how well you think they're going to do, right?
I expect, and then lastly, we got to throw out Shadeur, I guess, right?
Oh, Shadeur Sanders. Yeah, what's your stat line prediction? We've been doing stat line predictions for him every week. What did we predict? Going into this game, we said 140. I think I said, oh, God. I think I said 140. I think I said 1 touchdown, 2 picks. I think is what I thought. He did not do that. He did better. But, I think this week against the Titans, I actually think
I think I said something similar. I think I said 125, 130.
I think he could have 180.
2 picks and a touchdown, I think is what I said too. And then he ended up not throwing the picks. He threw a touchdown, threw 149. So but also some of that was garbage time.
Yeah, sure.
So, the yardage wasn't too far off.
Going to this game, what do you got him? I got him at 180 and a touchdown. I think he's going to be able to get some yards against the Titans.
I'm gonna go with a $160 and a touchdown.
Touchdown, no picks.
No picks.
No picks.
He could always throw one, but I think it'll be very low pressure. I'm going with a $160 because he got some yards in garbage time.
Yeah.
And one of them was also his ball that his arm was hit and it was completed. So I don't know if that was even really a completion or not.
Yeah.
His yardage was kind of low, so he doesn't tend to throw for a ton. So even though, because also they want to protect, so if they got a lead, I just feel like they're just going to run it for the most part.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go low on that passing yardage.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first. Bet your life savings on it.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah. And if you have not taken out a second mortgage by then, we'll be disappointed.
Yeah, exactly.